This week on Half Mile of Hell.
Yeah, it was a yellow coat and it was complete red.
We need paramedics to trackside, please.
I was hoping he was going to be all right, but it didn't look good.
I think I'm going to retire Grandpa's hat, so it's getting more out.
He's got his hands full right now.
Pack up and hit the road. Ride hard and play harder. Watch your back and don't give an inch. And whatever you do, don't make a mistake. Because you're about to ride the half mile of hell. The season starts here for the 36 drivers of the World Professional Chuckwagon Association. This is the Prairie Stampede, a 5-day event that ends with a $50,000 dash for cash. Qualifying for the dash is simple. After 4 nights, the top 4 drivers get a shot at the $50,000 in a one-race showdown. But getting there won't be easy. A muddy track and unpredictable horses will conspire against the most seasoned drivers.
You minimize your risk. You don't get penalties. You put best horses on. I don't think you can spend too much time worrying about what's going to happen to you on the track.
Some drivers have been camped in this Alberta city for a week now, trying to work different horses into their lineups. Others, like local favorites Mark and Kelly Sutherland, will truck in every day from their farm nearby. No matter where they come from, all the drivers feel the itch to get going.
Good evening, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is the 28th Stampede here in Evergreen Park.
When the harness starts rattling, that's when, you know, it's just about time, and the old adrenaline starts kicking about 6 o'clock, and by 8, she's hair straight back, and you're ready to go.
There's a horn, and the charge is underway. Stoves go in, Outriders now up, and here comes the Dodge Tour wagons opening night. They're coming at you 3 abreast.
There's little room for mistakes in wagon racing. When the horn sounds, drivers cut a figure 8 around a pair of barrels. Then it's a wild ride around the track, often only inches apart. Mistakes cost time, mistakes cost money, and sometimes mistakes cost lives. Even the best drivers and outriders have died from on-track mishaps.
You know, chuckwagon racing is inherently dangerous. That's the appeal to the fans.
Mark Sutherland is the son of chuckwagon legend Kelly Sutherland. Like his father, Mark must look beyond the risk.
I don't get a rush from thinking that it's dangerous. I get a rush from the speed that we go and the power in the horses and beating the best wagon drivers in the world.
There are horses, and there's a bunch out there on the same time on the track, and it's a fast, aggressive sport, and to go fast, you got to take chances, and you got to be aggressive.
You got to be careful, because, I mean, 2 or 3 wrecks, you can be toast, you know. It's real easy to get hurt out here, so it takes a real gutsy kind of guy to be out riding anyway.
Outriding is a risky job. The lead outrider steadies the team to start the race. The second throws the barrel in the wagon when the horn sounds. Then it's up on their horses to chase down their wagon before it crosses the finish line. Anything can happen. And on the very first night of racing, veteran outrider Sean Caffrobe gets a bloody welcome to the new season.
Look at this shirt. That happened behind Grand Profit in a 4th or 5th heat. The horse I've ridden lots before last year. It was his first night out, and I hopped on him, and he screwed his head up. He broke my nose and bled all the way around the track.
He leaned all down all night.
Yeah, it was a yellow coat and it was complete red.
You can see his nose goes like this.
Hi, Mom. First night.
Take about 6 pulls off that moonshine. We'll fix your nose for you real good.
There's no humor in it at the time. I mean, after a while, you do look back after it and laugh a bit.
Tough night out riding.
When the night ends, Mark Sutherland and Jason Glass are in the middle of the pack. Troy Dorchester sits comfortably in fourth. But as surely as a good run can put a driver on top, they all know one bad run can take you out completely.
You know, in this sport, when it starts rolling backwards, it gains momentum on you.
A brutal reminder of this comes the very next day. Rain has made the infield sticky and treacherous. Mishaps are bound to happen, but no one is prepared for the unthinkable.
And welcome back to Grand Prairie and Evergreen Park. This is night 2 of chuckwagon racing, and we've had some rain. What about the outriders? I mean, the conditions are going to affect them as well, especially getting on the horses right off the top.
In the mud and the slop, all hell breaks loose for driver Leo Tournier and outrider Kyle Lawrence.
All right, I think we're just about set here for heat number 3 tonight.
Kyle was on barrel 1 holding leaders. The horn went.
Horn sounds, we have liftoff.
I threw my stove in.
No problems on the 2-barrel, look out, outriders.
Kyle went between here and the lead horses in between them. Get him out of there! And he couldn't get out, and his outriding horse was with him. He had a hold of him still.
So I tried turning wide, and when I come wide, I was hoping when I went to the track he could get out of there, but...
He's caught in here, goes out to the racetrack. His outriding horse, I don't know how, but he just stayed right against him.
So there was no getting him out of there, and you're in a panic stage, and I was yelling at him and saying, you know, what do you want me to do, like, because I don't know.
All of a sudden, Kyle falls out, and the wheel horse, which is right here, steps on him.
We need paramedics to trackside, please.
He got ran over by the front wheel, and then the back wheel. His body was kind of down here like this, and that wheel ran right over his head. It missed his body. That's how hard it hit his head. And then he just spit out the back of the wagon and was knocked out.
Oh. I don't know really what went through my mind. I was hoping he was going to be all right, but it didn't look good. There was only 2 or 3 guys that got hit with a wheel that are still living, and there's 3 or 4 guys didn't make her, so that's what's going through your mind more than anything, I guess. My good buddy, and you just run him over.
On only the second night of racing, an outrider lies broken and unconscious in the mud. A disaster that leaves a dark cloud over the chuckwagon community.
Just a little update on Kyle Lawrence, the outrider who was hurt in heat number 3. They have taken him to the hospital in the ambulance. Apparently he is hurt pretty bad. Now all we can do is pray that he's going to be fine and he'll be back in action more sooner than later.
Come on, boys.
On the Sutherland farm, Mark loads up for the night's races. He's vaulted to 3rd place overall with a blistering run last night. But before he can get away, he's called out to the field by one of his barn hands.
Perfect.
reality kicks in. My tractor breaks down, the wheel comes off, the tractor falls down right in front of everybody. Right, ready to start. You gotta get someone to put it together so you can finish working the horses. If it didn't break then, it would have broke probably a week later. There's no doubt it's just a hectic, crazy time for us.
The Dorchester name is famous in the wagon world. Troy's grandfather Tom was a 4-time world champion. Troy's father Gary was also world champ. Since he started driving chuck wagons 12 years ago, Troy has worn his grandfather's hat for every race. But as the new season begins, Troy breaks the news to his family that the streak must come to an end.
I think I'm gonna retire Grandpa's hat. It's getting more out. He's kind of got a little bit of band-aids going on, and he raced for 50 years. He's retired when he was 72. Last year I had trouble keeping it on because the inside's all ratched, and just time. Go up to Keddy's tomorrow and buy a new one and break her in. Hopefully my grandkid can use it. Put this one on the mantle and retire her.
In Jim Nevada's camp, it seems no one is safe when they're in his sights. Nevada shoots from the lid.
Monopoly is something you play with ugly girls, isn't it?
He is brutally honest, but he's also a lot of fun. But when it's time to work, then it's time to work, and you know that, so.
If we don't talk to you, pretty well means we don't like you, right?
This summer, 17-year-old Chad Fike wants to become an outrider. But in order to get there, he needs to ride horses and practice. And that means having to put up with Nevada.
Just see if you can make him do what you want to do, not what he wants to do.
I was sick a week before Grand Prairie, and I kind of got over it, but I was still coughing a bit. So we went into a walk-in clinic, and they said I had bronchitis. So
there's no sick days in outriding.
What does that mean? No sick days for outriders?
If he likes you, you're going to get razzed. It's just part of being around that camp, I guess.
Donna wants to know if outriders get sick days. No. See?
Chad's mother, Donna, has grown up around chuckwagon racing. She knows the lifestyle, and she knows Nevada.
What do you do at night? Lay awake. Oh, kids are off tomorrow. I've known Jimmy forever. My first real memory was we were bickering at each other first day of grade 4. Your mommy didn't want to come with you, you jackass.
I actually went to school with Donna, and then her dad hired and got me into this sport, so her and me have been like brother and sister for almost 30 years, I guess.
He's yappy, and he doesn't care what he says to you.
I don't feel good. If you guys want to do chores, I'm gonna go.
Piss off.
I've been with you too long too, huh?
Yeah, I'm just joking.
Every morning, drivers will hitch or hook different horse combinations to train the animals. At the Glass Cosgrave Barn, Jason's cousin Colt is trying out a new horse from Kelly Sutherland.
I hope people better mind it, Colt.
Well, I went up to Grande Prairie and I only was packing one right leader, so I didn't want to drive him, all 5 nights. So I heard Kelly had a couple for sale, and so we packed them up and brought them into town to try them out with some of mine.
As Colt gets ready to practice the figure-8 barrel turn, Colt's brother Chad steadies the lead horses.
Everything was driving good when we went in there, and then just before we got stopped,
my arm was in there from holding on. He just latched on. I had no coat or nothing on, so a couple of his teeth punched through my skin, took some hide off my arm. They didn't really want to stitch it up because it was so infected from the horse's teeth. So they just put one stitch in it, and then all the pus and stuff would come out the sides. Well, I didn't even drink with the pills for at least the first day. Second day, it kind of slacked off.
Works better with rum.
believe I decided to do it, really, but that means a lot to me. If I happen to lose it, it'd be pretty tough on me, so I figured it was time. Wouldn't even let me on the track with that. Yeah, it's heavy, that leather. I want a brown one, and it's going to be 7 1/4. I think I can get her sucked on there. I think it's got to be wider at the front here. This side's still a little high.
Back on the track, Chad Fike is training one of Jim Nevada's tougher horses, with Jim and an anxious mother watching.
He's got his hands full right now.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to watch. Originally, I was worried being a mom, and that bothered Chad because he's a 17-year-old kid and he doesn't understand the worry.
Well, I sure got a bit of yap, eh? Yeah. He didn't really respond to you, did he? There was no big trouble, but you gotta put kids on horses like that. They can't ride the same old rocking chair all the time. You gotta throw a little wrench into the gearbox once in a while.
Just try to get sanctioned and then try and break into the wagons and get a ride and hopefully go from there.
Getting sanctioned means proving to a committee that an outrider can handle himself and his 1,200-pound horse, something Chad will do next weekend in Medicine Hat. It might also mean proving he can stand on his own, away from his mother.
With Donna hanging around and all that, it's kind of funny because it's definitely her little baby. Get your stick out. I think every kid needs his away time from his parents, you know, figure stuff out on his own without getting led around. A couple more runs, you'll have your mother broke too.
Chuckwagon racing is a tough event, with tough men and fine equine athletes competing in a tribute to our great Western heritage.
24 hours after the Kyle Lawrence accident, Rio brings word back from the hospital.
We went in there, his mom's like, do you know these guys? And he looks up right away. He says, yeah, I know Rio and Quinn. Chad's standing back there waiting. Chad walks up, oh yeah, I know Chad. So he's cool that way. He just says he's sore, his arm's sore, he didn't break any bones. But he's feeling pretty good.
Through night number 3, both Mark Sutherland and Jason Glass run well. Sutherland slips a spot, but holds on to that 4th and final position for the dash. Glass sits tied for 5th. In heat number 8, Troy Dorchester's horses waver off the start. His wagon knocks a barrel over, an automatic 5-second penalty. It shoots him from 3rd to 19th, and Dorchester is out of it, just like that. After 3 nights of racing at the Prairie Stampede, Mark Sutherland owns the 4th and final spot in the $50,000 Dash for Cash. Jason Glass is right behind him.
I was sitting in the top 4, and basically I needed a clean run.
Instead of going with the horses he knows are safe, Mark tries a new combination.
I didn't hook safe, I hooked to win that night too, and the horses had other ideas.
Horn sounds and they glow to the top barrel on 3 outfits. Mark Sutherland stalls on 4. No disappointment. Always out of that top 4 already.
He just jumped in the air and got his leg caught in the other horse's harness, and there's nothing you can do. You know, your race is over before it's begun, and I was pretty concerned that the one horse was going to hurt himself, and then once we got them unhooked, I just thought, well, you know, shoot, there goes another opportunity.
He was sitting 4th. Now he's totally out of a $50,000 chance. There is disappointment for you.
It's kind of disheartening, but that's not the first dash I've almost made. I did get my first no time. I guess that was an experience in itself.
As the weather takes another serious turn, the door is now wide open for Jason Glass to slide up and claim that fourth and final spot.
Well, in the aggregate so far, we do have Neil Walshenbaugh and Jason Glass, who were tied for 5th pole. Those two are fighting for it. It'll be a fight to the finish.
There's a horn, and they're off in a rainy, muddy, sloppy Grande Prairie rainstorm coming straight down. Is he going to hang on? Here comes Herman and Jason with the late charge. Jason Glass will be the closest, but Hugh Sinclair by a neck. Jason Glass second.
There was a pretty good gap there. I believe it was like 2 seconds. But if things would have worked how I thought they could have, that 2 seconds could have disappeared awful quick. Luke was sitting at the top end too. We have a chance yet.
Back in the barns, Glass waits while the judges tally the times. Was he fast enough? Will he get his chance to run for the $50,000?
We have the final 4 in our aggregate standings for tomorrow night's $50,000 competition.
We're sitting there in the rain and I couldn't hear nothing, but you try your best to get some information, and when it does come through, it's either really disappointing or it makes you really happy.
In 5th spot, missing the final cut for the final 4 by about a second and a bit, is Jason Glass, Birchcliff Energy. He's 5. Sliding up into the 4th spot, Neil Walshenbaugh, Super 8 Motels at 5:23.51.
It's an emotional roller coaster all the time, up and down, so you got to kind of try to deal with it best you can.
Over the summer, Jason, the other drivers, and the Outriders will have 11 other events to try to deal with it. The road is long, and anything can happen out here, especially when all hell breaks loose. Coming soon on Half Mile of Hell.
Oh, we got a little problem with Outriders. We'll get it sorted out. It ain't over till it's over. Trailblazer RV, Jerry Bremner laying down. Chad Harden is in there from behind looking for a hole. But here comes Jerry